Watch this video and learn 3 common grammar mistakes that students make in conversations and how to fix them. Coming up. Hey student, this is Teacher Prix to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Thank you so much for watching and make sure to subscribe. Now guys, speaking in English is so important, and I am sure that you want to become a confident English speaker who can understand and talk to people in English. And English grammar is an important aspect of the language. Unfortunately, many English learners misunderstand the importance of grammar, and some of them study too much, which is not good, and others completely ignore English grammar. Now, that being said, I'm going to tell you 3 common grammar mistakes that students make in conversations and how you can fix them. Of course, that this will involve practicing and following specific guidelines, but I am sure that if you follow the ideas I'm going to give you in this video, you will improve your English speaking. And stay until the end, because mistake number 3 is the most complicated one and will make the listener, people who are listening to you, a little bit confused. So make sure to catch all the 3 mistakes. Now, mistake number 1, conjugations. Yes, guys, unfortunately, students learn the conjugations when they are basic, simple present, simple past, future, present perfect. And after that, they don't give the necessary attention to conjugations anymore, to verb tenses. And as I've talked about here on my channel, the most important tenses are present, past, and future. So in my opinion, and this is something that I always tell my BSA in my online program, reviewing the basic tenses is very important if you want to become a better English speaker. And this is the most common grammar mistake English learners make in conversations. So it is something that you should include in your study practice on a weekly basis, always reviewing the tenses, always doing activities that are connected to present, past, and future. And there are many ways to do it. And I'm going to give you some recommendations, so stay until the end. The second mistake is pronounce, using the wrong pronoun. For example, I'm talking about John and then I say she. I'm talking about Mary and then I say he. I'm talking about my friend's car and then I use your, possessive adjective. This will confuse the person listening to you, okay? And there are simple strategies you can implement in your practice to help you fix these mistakes, these bad habits, these bad speaking habits, so that by the time you need to have a real conversation with someone, you remember these explanations more easily. Students learn these things like the possessive adjective, his, her, its, your, the pronouns he, she, it, they, you. But when they do exercises, they only do those grammar drills, as you can see here on the screen. And they can be beneficial, but they are not so productive, especially if you have already finished your basic studies. You need to do different kinds of activities to really understand he, she, your, his, her in conversations. There are even speaking exercises that you can do alone to help you fix these mistakes. Now, why is this a mistake and why is this bad? It confuses people. It causes confusion. The person may be, oh, is she talking in the present? Is he talking in the past? Is this something in the future? I'm not sure. And even a bonus mistake here, confusing specific words like yesterday and tomorrow. This is very common, more common than you imagine. So make sure to develop a kind of practice that I'm going to suggest to fix these confusions. Because when you are having a conversation with someone, that is the problem. You will cause confusion. The person may, I beg your pardon, and that moment may trigger an emotional response. And what is the problem with this emotional response? At the time of the conversation, when the person is talking to you and you feel like the person was confused, the emotional trigger, the emotional reaction is usually like, oh, my English is bad. She didn't understand me. And at that moment, you are giving a very negative feedback to your brain. And that is not very healthy because as you keep having these moments when you're like, oh, he was confused. Oh, I'm terrible. As you begin to pile up these emotional triggers, you will get afraid every time you need to speak English because you remember you have a mental picture of the last time you had an opportunity to talk to someone. Or sometimes you create mental situations, they don't even exist, where the person is confused and you feel afraid to speak. The purpose of this video is to help you avoid confusion in conversations. And mistake number one, verb tenses, the conjugations, and now the pronouns he, she, your, his, her. These things, they're very simple, but they will cause confusion. And that's what I want to help you eliminate, okay? Now, mistake number three, asking questions incorrectly. As I always tell my BSA in my online program, and we even have specific lessons to help them improve asking questions in English, asking questions is a very important part in a conversation. So whether you are talking to your boss or to a customer or talking on the phone or talking to someone at the mall or at a restaurant, you will be asking questions or answering questions. So it is very important to practice asking questions correctly. English learners, especially learners who study alone, focus too much on answering questions instead of asking questions. So you also need to include practicing asking questions in English. But that is not always the case. And then by the time you are in a conversation, you have an opportunity to talk to someone, you get stuck because you never practiced that. It was not in your routine. So asking questions is not really natural to you because you only practiced answering questions, saying yes or no, making affirmative sentences or negative sentences. But practicing questions was not on your radar. And as a result, by the time you travel, you get stuck because starting a conversation will require asking questions in most cases. There are cases when you can just make an affirmative sentence, but asking questions is a very good way to start conversations in English, to start negotiations in English, to ask for help. So it is a very common thing that students don't realize they are not practicing. Okay? So this is, in my opinion, the biggest mistake English learners make. They don't have the habit of practicing questions. Okay? Now, I gave you the problems, but I didn't really give you any solutions. So before I give you the solutions, can you hit the like button? Yeah, awesome. Now let's go. First mistake, conjugations. I'm really focused on present, past, and future, okay? So in your practice, I don't know if you study twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Always start with something that will require conjugations. For example, this morning I was studying and I started my practice with simple past. Okay, first I studied a little bit of English, and then when I practiced my Italian, I was studying Italian as well. I did both this morning. I practiced simple past in Italian. So, simple past, I practiced. Now, throughout my practice, I also included simple present. Here, you can do very simple activities like describing your last weekend, describing your day, describing the activities you need to do, describing your future plans for next weekend. This constant repetition of describing things around you, describing your day, describing your next day, your plans, will help you fix conjugation mistakes. In addition, you can also review these lessons, reviewing simple present, reviewing simple past, and not just focusing on doing exercises like answering book questions, but focusing on using the lesson you are watching, okay? So as I told you, I practice describing my day, describing my plans, my last weekend, describing habitual things I do. And that way I'm focusing on the most important conjugations, present, past, and future. So here I'm complementing the theory. It's important to watch videos again, even though you have already done that. You know, you've already watched many present videos. Teacher, but I started a year ago. I already watched these things. Do it again, okay? And then put into practice. Okay, I'm gonna start describing my day in the present. Okay, I'm gonna describe my last summer. What did I do last summer? And having this continuous practice on a weekly basis will help you improve your conjugation, your verb tenses use, okay? For mistake number 2, this is a very nice idea, okay, and very simple. I'm sure that you may like a movie or a TV show. I imagine that there is a TV show or movie that you enjoy. And here you can pick your favorite characters from your TV series and you can describe those people. His name is blah blah, she is blah 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 years old, she is from Australia, in the movie she blah blah blah. And as you keep doing that, you will practice number 1, because you will need verb conjugations, and you will also practice number 2, pronouns. Okay, he, she, his, her. Okay, this is so important. Maybe you can describe 2 people in the plural. Oh, these are the Winchester brothers. Ah, Winchester, supernatural. They are blah blah blah. And this happened to them. This will help you practice in a more realistic way because you are connecting a character from a TV show you like, someone from a movie, the Avengers, DC movies, you name it. And you will describe the characters. I do this a lot with some students using Friends. I ask them to describe all the characters of Friends. Maybe like a short introduction, who they are, what they like, what they don't like, their free time activities. And because of that, they learn more easily how to use pronouns in English and separate man, woman. This can be confusing for some students, okay? And finally, how do you fix mistake number 3? Well, my friends, the first suggestion is I have 4 videos here on my channel. Actually, it's one video that I divided into 4, okay? Because it was very long, so I divided into 4. And in these 4 videos, I am explaining how to ask questions in different tenses. So the first thing you're going to do is PrixFlix. You're going to binge watch all these 4 videos, take notes, and after that, you will put into practice and you will begin to ask questions in English. But teacher, how? How do I do that? I have no idea how to get started. After you watch the videos and review the lessons, you are going to pick 3 subjects. Sports, my favorite TV show, my favorite movie, cooking, gardening, you will decide. 3. Then you will ask 5 questions per subject. So 3 subjects times 5 questions, 15 questions. And you can repeat this. Maybe you do this today, then in 2 days you do this again, and keep practicing. Keep choosing different subjects. You can use Google to have ideas, okay? And that way you will get better at asking questions. That is a very important practice. Try to choose subjects that are connected somehow with things you like. In my case, for example, I really enjoy TV series, so I can practice writing down questions about TV series. I really like living a healthy life, so I can ask questions about living a healthy life. So practice this, and this will help you improve. There's no other way, okay? Now, you will only get better during a conversation if you follow the right kind of practice. And that was my goal with today's lesson. If you enjoyed, make sure to share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Bye!